Meantime, the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees says the sounds of bombs in Gaza have been replaced by the sounds of life as people return to the streets and children once again play without fear. But for so many families, the agony, of course, is far from over. Gaza's civil defense says 10,000 people may still be buried under the rubble. One man who's been searching for the bodies of his wife and children says the only thing he wants in the world is to be able to bury his loved ones in a proper grave. And the ceasefire now, in its fourth day, is allowing for a surge in humanitarian aid. The UN says more than 2,400 trucks have rolled into Gaza since the truce began. That's more than the number of trucks during the entire month of December, and that is according to the UN. I want to bring in Sam Rose, the Director of UNRWA Affairs in Gaza. He's live tonight in Nusrat in Gaza. Sam, great to have you back on the show. I'm glad we were able to connect with you. Just give us a sense, we're 72 hours now into the ceasefire. Give us a sense of what you are seeing on the ground.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. I mean, it has been a real kind of roller coaster of emotions over the past 3 days since the ceasefire came into effect. We'll all recall that it was stop-start at the beginning and a bit stuttering. But look, since then, as you said at the top, the bombs stopped falling, the drones stopped ringing. People have been out and about, going about their business, children playing, people walking around without any sense of fear. The rains came tonight, so that puts a different complexion on it. But the aid is flowing in as well. We're seeing a marked increase, as you said, dramatic increase in the volumes of aid that we're able to bring into Gaza. So our distribution centers, our warehouses are full, and as UNRWA, we're pushing out as much aid as possible. We brought in enough food in the past 4 days to feed 1 million people. That's how dramatic the increase is. All those barriers that we were facing, the constraints, they've gone away, and we're showing that we can deliver if that enabling environment exists.
And Sam, I mean, the UN, which said it has about, I think, 4,000 trucks ready to enter Gaza, said that the availability of the food is not the problem. It says the delivery mechanism is wrought very much with obstacles. Speak to those challenges.
Yeah, I mean, we as UNRWA alone have about 4,800 trucks of aid outside. 2/3 of all food aid outside of Gaza right now belongs to UNRWA. We're doing everything that we can to get it in. And look, a lot of the challenges have gone away. We faced challenges linked to the nature of the armed conflict that meant that it was very difficult to get to the crossing point, and challenges linked to criminality due to an absence of civilian police on the streets and a governance void which was filled with criminal gangs. Those gangs have not disappeared, but police have resumed presence in areas where they're, because there's a ceasefire, and we're able to move a lot more easily. We do face real challenges in getting people what they need, but we're able to get the aid out there. The real issue now is that people need a lot more than food aid. They need a restoration of basic services. They need to be able to find and bury their loved ones. They need to rebuild their damaged homes and just rebuild themselves. So there's a lot more that needs to be done beside the aid getting in, but it's a very good start.
And Sam, you were talking about the challenges of getting people what they need. What's the commonality? What are people asking you for more often, you'd say?
People now are just asking for the ceasefire to hold. After the euphoria of the first 24 hours, there's a certain numbness that sets in as people realize the enormity of what lies ahead. More than anything, people want to go home. People want to send their children back to schools. People want to do the things that they did before the war, live a normal life. They know, though, that Gaza has changed forever, but that's what they want more than anything. The same things that we all want.
Absolutely. What about the north of Gaza? I know that was a challenge. Is that still cut off?
It is. I mean, according to the agreement and what we understand, the Netzarim corridor, which you spoke about, the main road that severs Gaza City in the north from the rest of the Gaza Strip, that's due to open at the weekend after 7 days. And we anticipate mass movements of population across that road, across that corridor when the border opens. Anything from 700,000 to 1 million people fled south in October 2023. They've not been able to go home since. Most of northern Gaza and Gaza City has been destroyed. But as soon as that checkpoint and those crossings open, people will want to go back to their former homes, to secure what they can, to find people under the rubble and just take a look at what's left of their homes and their lives. So that should happen at the weekend.
Hopefully, good news. And now I've got you here. Let me ask you about this Israeli ban against UNRWA, which I believe, Sam, is expected to go into effect, I think is something like 2 weeks' time or so. I'd read that UNRWA and World Food Programme assists something like 1.1 million people in Gaza. I mean, how is this going to restrict, first of all, this ban going to restrict aid delivery, distribution? And I'm not thinking just of Gaza, I'm thinking East Jerusalem, I'm thinking West Bank. Is there a contingency plan at this point?
There isn't, no. I mean, we await clarity on the bills and how they will be implemented. But right now, less than 10 days out, we have to assume that they will, and they'll have catastrophic impacts on the ability of the humanitarian system and the parties that have agreed to the ceasefire to meet the humanitarian commitments under that ceasefire. Given what a large actor UNRWA is, we're by far the largest actor, the main mechanism for not just delivery of humanitarian aid, but also basic services, primary healthcare, psychosocial support, garbage collection, education. You rip that away, there is no actor that can come in and replace it. The only actor that could would be a functioning state, and we're still some way away from that. So implications, of course, for UNRWA, but more seriously for the plight of Palestinians and the fate of the ceasefire right now in Gaza.
Sam Rose, as always, appreciate you taking time to speak to us this evening, live from Nuseirat in Gaza. Thanks, Sam. Good to see you.
Thanks a lot.